Joleen started working at Tangle's hair salon in Yulee, Florida, and settled right in. The regulars loved her, and her boss Jim said she was great with clients. She could talk to anyone. She then met her husband Joleen Cummings, and the pair had 2 boys. Her life was suddenly busier than ever. But in 2017, she and her husband Jason had agreed to part ways and separate, working on a custody plan together. She briefly had a relationship with a man who was also called Jason, but that too had come to an end after a string of arguments. Her friends said it was a shame. She was a great person, and sadly her relationships just weren't working out. But Joleen took everything in her stride. She was now focused on her children and career. She was looking for a fresh start and new beginnings. May 12, 2018. It was business as usual for Joleen as she headed into a fully booked day at Tangle's. She was already looking forward to clocking off at 5 p.m. and getting ready for the next day. Not only was it her birthday, it coincided with Mother's Day too, and she was ready to spend all day with her children and catch up with everyone's birthday wishes. She and her children would spend the day making a gift for her own mum, Anne, and having a real family day. The following morning, however, she was supposed to meet with her ex-husband to get their children, but she never turned up. Saturday was her busiest day. She was back to back, and maybe she'd just overslept. But a day later, with still no word from Joleen, Anne reported her missing. Her car was also missing, her bank records showed no activity, and her phone was just going to voicemail. Her boss, Jim, said that Joleen loved her kids more than anything, and there wasn't a chance she would have disappeared without something being really wrong. We are all very worried. It's just so out of character for her to disappear. Her life was those children, and I refuse to believe she just took off, he said.
Nassau County, the Sheriff's Office wants to hear from anyone who went to the Tangle's Salon in Fernandina Beach last Saturday. They're looking for information into the disappearance of a mother who disappeared last Sunday. Joleen Cummings was supposed to pick up her 3 kids on Mother's Day, but she never arrived. Today, neighbors banded together in Hilliard to search for her.
Yeah, and friends are telling me this just doesn't sound like her to disappear on Mother's Day without her 3 kids. Now, friends say this is where she works, right here, Tangle's Hair Salon. And this is where deputies say she was last seen leaving here on Saturday night around 5. Deputies say she may be driving a 2006 beige Ford Expedition with the Florida license plate number 035KBQ. A client also tells me she got her hair done on Friday by Cummings and she seemed fine, and she even talked about painting and crafting with her kids on Mother's Day. And I just spoke to Cummings' boss here just a couple of minutes ago, and he says they are very worried. Something is just not right.
We know there's somebody out there that knows where she's at, and will do the right thing and give us a call so we can let her come home to her family.
Down the street, neighbors like Lexi are also on the lookout for the young mother.
We're all close-knit, small town, so if something happens, you hear about it as soon as it happens.
The first 2 people they wanted to speak to were her ex-husband Jason C. and her on-off boyfriend Jason G. Jason C. was very worried and cooperative, and he came down to the station right away. He said even if things had been testing for them as they navigated this split, his family was his priority and he respected her a lot.
I wouldn't turn old, and that's my kid's mom. But what I do take seriously is my family.
He had concerns about Jason G. calling him a junkie and saying he had heard bad things about the company he kept. He told police they could search whatever they wanted, his house, his phone, his car. He had absolutely nothing to hide. With a strong alibi and a look around his place, they were confident he was not involved. When it came to locating Jason G, however, this was more difficult. One of Joleen's neighbours said that on May 9th, just 3 days before she went missing, she had heard things smashing and Joleen shouting at her kids to shut the bedroom door. Alarm bells had gone off and she called the police. But once Jason G heard the officers coming, he bolted. This was a big lead, and they realised he was actually wanted on an outstanding warrant anyway. Finally, deputies found Jason G hiding under some cardboard boxes inside a house, and he was arrested for probation violations. He admitted they were involved in an argument after he showed up uninvited asking to stay. When she told him no, he got aggressive and started slamming things. Police commented on the scratches and marks on his arm, but he said they had come from playing with his dog. He said he would let them search what they wanted, and he would take a polygraph as well. However, he had now lost his phone and couldn't tell them where he'd been over the last few days, and therefore could not give them an alibi. When police pointed out how this all looked to them, he said he wanted a lawyer. He was named as a person of interest in her disappearance.
Just a couple of hours earlier, deputies arrested Cummings' ex-boyfriend, Jason G., who had a warrant out for a probation violation. But deputies say he is not talking. Investigators say he was found near a wooded area in Hilliard, where deputies were searching Monday night after receiving a tip. They say G and several others are persons of interest in the disappearance.
Frustratingly, tips were few and far between, with only a few coming in and none that led to anything. There were just so many gaps in this story. But on May 16th, investigators got their first break when they found Joleen's Ford SUV parked in a Home Depot parking lot about 2 miles away from her salon. Security footage from the area showed it being parked up at 1:15 a.m, several hours after Joleen would have finished her shift. Once the car was parked up, a figure dressed all in black ran away. After following the shadowy figure from camera to camera, they finally got a very clear image. A woman in all black had walked into a gas station a few minutes later, where she asked to borrow a phone to call for a cab. She only stayed for a few minutes before leaving. It was obvious that she had been driving Joleen's car, so why park it up and leave if the intent was to steal it? The person that served her that night told the detectives it was one of the strangest conversations he'd ever had. She had spent a lot of time talking about what meth does to your body and sharing details about her night drinking with people. She talked and talked and talked before jumping into her cab.
Daisy, I'm Detective Rose with the Sheriff's Office.
Hello.
Hello. I needed to speak to you about someone that you had contact with the other night. You're not in trouble for nothing.
Oh, I was like,
okay.
I don't even know. Okay.
Can we sit down for a second? Okay. There was a female that came into the store the other night, right here.
Yes.
And y'all sat there and talked for a little bit on video.
Yeah, she had me call her a taxi.
She had you call her a taxi?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what your conversation was with her?
She said something about how she was out with a couple of friends drinking, and one of the friends' ex-boyfriends came around. There had been some kind of problem. She didn't go into detail for it much after that. And to be honest, I don't even know how she got to the store because she had me call her a taxi, and then, 10-15 minutes later she was gone. The taxi came and picked her up, took her, she said somewhere to like a Plant Fitness that was around us. She went into this really weird conversation about what meth does to your body. Literally, this is what most of our conversation was about.
What meth does to your body? Okay.
Yeah, it was really weird.
While investigators continued to look into these cameras, a thorough look over the salon painted a very bleak picture. There were huge pools of blood everywhere, and even though there had been an attempt to clean it up, there was no hiding this from the luminol. There was no other conclusion they could draw. Joleen was now dead, and she had been killed in this salon. They were now happy to rule out Jason G as well, and a random break-in, because it just didn't make any sense. The manager of the salon, Jim, showed the police the work schedule, and the last person to have been working with Joleen was another stylist called Jennifer Seibert. When investigators arrived to speak with Jennifer, she wasn't there, despite being set to open that day. Jim called Jennifer just as she was pulling into the parking lot. She took one look at the police and drove back out. She then told Jim she was quitting. They'd never see her again and she wanted her final paycheck. Detectives showed everyone in the salon the CCTV footage from the gas station, and without missing a beat, they said absolutely it was Jennifer, except she did have different hair. Jim gave them her address, but the address didn't even exist, and they had no idea where Jennifer now was. She was returning no phone calls, was the last person to see Joleen, was giving out fake addresses, and had been seen parking Joleen's car. Jennifer Seibert had only been at the salon for just over a month and kept to herself by all accounts. She was new to the area and no one really knew anything about her. Jennifer, for some reason, definitely didn't like Joleen. One client said that as Joleen was washing her hair, Jennifer inserted herself into their conversation and was incredibly nasty to her for no reason. Other colleagues saw this bully-like behaviour a lot, and it seemed the new girl was bothering everyone. One of Joleen's colleagues called Jennifer crazy and said she put everyone on edge. Her behaviour and constantly changing appearances made her mind go to weird places. I felt like she killed somebody and she's on the run, she said. Put simply, this was a small-town, family-oriented salon, and Jennifer did not fit in, nor did she want to. A former boss said she was definitely over the top with a lot of quirks. She once ate a pound of beef using her bare hands and ended up storming out, never to return, all over some sliced lemons. Before she was at Tangles, she worked at another salon, and co-workers there said they too often felt uncomfortable working with her. She was paranoid, had severe mood swings, and they knew she got the job using false information, which unnerved everyone. And just a couple of days before she went missing, Joleen had been overheard saying to Jennifer, "Go away, I don't like you. You're crazy, you're fake." Joleen sent another friend a text about Jennifer saying, "She is really just smart-mouthing towards everyone. I'm trying to avoid her and she's being real negative. There's something a little off about her, I can't put my finger on it." After placing a bolo or be on the lookout for Jennifer's car, they finally tracked her down. She was miles away, sleeping rough in her car in a gas station. She had injuries to her face and body that looked consistent with being in a fight. They were able to arrest her on an auto theft charge. But there was more to it. Everyone's eyes were on Jennifer Seibert. Except they realised they weren't talking to Jennifer Seibert. They were actually talking to Kimberly Kessler, and she had been reported missing herself back in 2004 in Butler County by her mother.
My name's Wayne, this is Charlie. We want to talk to you for a few minutes. What name do you want me to call you? Because I was talking to the detective that drove you up and he said I might have been calling you by the wrong name.
When you run my fingerprints through, they come up as Kimberly Lee Kessler. I was born in May of 1968, May 9th. I'm 50 years old. I've been living under this particular alias since 1999, so not quite 1999. This is 18, about 19 years. So I would prefer to be called Kim.
Okay.
But
She was very self-assured, bordering on arrogant, loved to talk about herself, and had an answer for everything.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm calling you by your right name.
But if you run them through, I mean, the last time I got picked up was back in 1999, and I bonded out. And it took them, I don't remember, it was a couple weeks, I don't know if it was 2.5 weeks or 3.5 weeks before they actually, matched them up.
Matched them up?
Yeah, it didn't but that was 1999, so maybe it was a little bit slower then.
Okay.
But I don't know, there's lots of people on the face of the planet, so maybe it still takes time.
They asked her why she had left town and changed her name, and Kimberly said it was to stop her ex from finding her. She had settled on the name Jennifer Seibert after reading it on a tombstone. Jennifer was actually a little girl that had been killed in a car accident. As odd as this story already was, this was far from her only name change. Kimberly Kessler actually had 25 different aliases, 5 driver's licenses across 33 cities in 14 states, alongside fake social security numbers. She would drastically change her appearance too, wearing different wigs and cutting and dyeing her hair, before moving away and starting somewhere new.
Just go through when you work with her on that Saturday so I can, is there anything you can tell me that, did she ever talk to you about a boyfriend? I know she's got a husband. I know she had a boyfriend. Did she ever talk about anybody she was scared of? Did she ever say anything that she wanted to run away and get away from it all? I mean,
I don't remember hearing anything. She would have different conversations sometimes with different clients. She was saying CPS came to her house. She was telling one client that I caught a little blip of it in between listening to YouTube and the phone ringing. And I remember hearing her say she thought her ex-husband or her husband was doing to get out of paying child support. That's all I heard, and I don't remember ever hearing about a boyfriend ever. But then again, I don't always really pay attention.
Did she tell you who she was hanging around with, or was she into anything that maybe she shouldn't have been?
She would just say to me, like, the time or two that she'd say, I'm just going home and having a quiet night at home, or like, I don't have the kids tonight, or, whatever, I'm just going to enjoy this.
She said she had no idea where Joleen could be and didn't even admit to stealing her car, despite the cameras showing she quite clearly did. At one point, she randomly accused Joleen of being a meth addict, something which everyone said was absolutely ridiculous.
But I did find a bag that I believe had crystal meth in it, just a little bit in the bottom, a tiny baggie back by the back door.
Did you guys ever hang out after work? Did you ever go anywhere together? There's video of you dropping her car off at the Home Depot parking lot there in Yulee and walking across and going into the gate station and getting a taxi cab back down to, they had it listed as Dick's Wings, but it was back down there to where Tangles is, okay? And that's why you're charged with grand theft auto. And I'm not trying to trick you, I'm not trying to fool you. You're opening up to me and I'm opening up to you, okay? Mm-hmm. That's the reason you're charged with that. You're not charged with anything else, okay? But something happened to Joleen.
But just as they thought they might be getting somewhere, as soon as they turned the pressure up, Kimberly wanted a lawyer.
Something that you didn't plan happened, but let me tell you what we did, okay? Because I just want to be honest with you, because I think something bad happened that you didn't intend to happen, but I don't think you're an evil person. I don't think you're a mean person. I think you have done one hell of a job getting through the last 25 years.
So let me reply this way, and you may not like the answer. I would like legal counsel.
But this was not a problem for the police, as more CCTV was starting to fill in the gaps. Near the bins around the back of the salon, she was seen throwing bags in on the day Joleen vanished. They wanted to find out exactly where the trucks had taken the bins once they had been emptied, and it led them to a huge landfill with almost £4 million of trash. Their hearts sank. This was simply going to be an impossible task. In the trees near the bins, they found the lid to a large plastic container, and when they finally got Kimberly's real address and a storage unit that she had recently rented, they were shocked at just how much they had found. Many items were covered in blood. A quick turnaround showed the DNA was a match to Joleen. And inside the rest of the container, they found Joleen's fingernail. A bag was also discovered with scissors in them, with yet more blood. Testing had now confirmed that some of the blood in the salon was a match to Kimberly as well as Joleen. They believed that the scissors were the murder weapon. More searches on Kimberly's iPhone showed that she had taken pictures of a notebook where she had written pages and pages of names. One of the names was as old as an ex-boyfriend from school. Some of them had Satan, witch, and evil written next to them. Kimberly would often write down her dreams and talk about demons, Jesus, and stalkers. Searches on her computer were for no body, no crime, female serial killers, and Joleen's name a handful of times. Her house had turned up 6 different wigs and several other phones. Speaking to more people that knew her various identities painted a picture of a violent and frightening woman. An ex-boyfriend said that she had matter-of-factly told him she shot her own cat with a shotgun, and as a child she had threatened to kill someone's brother with a baseball bat when he was sleeping. As strong as this case was looking against Kimberly, they still didn't know where Joleen's body was. Some more cameras from inside the Walmart would give them an idea. Footage showed Kimberly buying $30 worth of supplies, including ammonia, zip ties, and an electric knife. This was at around 9 p.m, about 4 hours after Joleen would have finished her shift and after they believed she had been killed. Kimberly then drove back to the salon, and at 11 p.m, she was spotted throwing some very heavy bags into the bin. The police said that given the amount of blood in the salon and the electric knife, they could only assume that Kimberly had dismembered Joleen and put her body into bags. On May 22nd, a news conference was held where police confirmed that while they were still looking for Joleen, they knew she would not be coming home alive.
In addition to following up on all leads and evidence we were receiving, this individual was known as Jennifer Seibert. We have subsequently found out that Seibert's real name is Kimberly Kessler. Through our investigation, we have obtained evidence, which we are not releasing at this time, which leads us to believe Joleen is not alive. Kessler is a suspect in the disappearance of Joleen Cummings.
Sunday was a special day, not only for Mother's Day, but it was her birthday. She was born on Mother's Day. God gave me this special blessing after my firstborn infant son, Richard, was buried. I beg you as a mother to please keep coming forward, no matter how small. My 3 grandchildren, who miss her so much, we want closure.
They now felt that Kimberly had been planning to kill Joleen for a few days. Given her search history and the fact that the day Joleen was last seen coincided with the salon being shut for 2 days, police were sure she had planned it to give her time to clean up and figure out her plan. Kimberly Kessler was charged with first-degree murder, and even as she sat with handcuffs on her, she was chatting and joking as if she was talking to friends.
No, they feel great. You can put them on tighter if you want. Whatever you want to do. I'm at your mercy, so have as much fun as you'd like.
From jail, she would often talk to reporters and her mother. She was still denying it all, and it seemed she couldn't care less about being in a jail cell.
This is a prepaid call from
Kim Kessler,
an inmate at the Nassau County Jail. He told me that he thought you were involved, they think you're involved in a missing person there.
So if you can or if you want to, please, bail me out and I can.
I will. I'm just wondering.
That's my ability. I'll answer. I just got interrupted on the phone with a little message that they're going to disconnect the call again. It's kind of funny. They keep me in solitary confinement like it's a bad thing. It's heaven, girl. I love it. Tom Thompson told me today that, I was the front page of the newspaper. I'm all over the news. I guess I'm still, the talk of the town or something.
Why would that be starting up again? There's absolutely nothing going on in the world?
I say it's because it's the Illuminati. I think that her people definitely are fucking seriously involved in it, so that's just what is happening. So I got the Illuminati on my ass. Again, I can't prove it. It's just my opinion and what little bit I've seen on YouTube about some of the research I was doing on these secret societies is, nobody gets even 5 minutes worth or 5 seconds worth of airtime unless they have some sort of connection. So, her stepdad, I don't know what's going on with him, if he's still in the hospital or what's up, but normally to attain a position like he was running the jail, you gotta be usually a Mason or whatever. You gotta be in a secret society to hold
I'm sure he is. If he's running a jail, I'm sure he is.
They don't have anything on me because it's all bullshit. Somebody's just trying to
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
They're trying to collect on an insurance policy is what they're trying to do, and they have to have, the insurance company's not going to fucking just pay them. They tried to set me up, but they didn't set me up that good, obviously, because the insurance company, they have to go to all this trouble to try to make me look bad. But I don't know what happened. All I know is that I didn't do anything. I had nothing to do with it. I have no idea, what they're doing. I think they just look for excuses, too, to rob and steal because they just do all kinds of shit. They took the clothes I was wearing off my back and my shoes and stole them. My rings and my jewelry. I only had 2 rings and 1 bracelet. Gone. Fucking gone. It was in my bag that they say they confiscated as evidence, but they didn't list it. And so someone pocketed that. I mean, they just use excuses to steal. I don't even know if my motorcycle's even in my storage unit. I don't know if any of my shit that's worth any value is in there. I have no idea because they're thieves.
She entered a plea of not guilty, and as the weeks went on and the state built their case, Kimberly's behaviour became more erratic, irrational, and unpredictable.
It's fine.
Let's just put me back on myself.
Ma'am, come back.
I want to get rid of the public defender's office. Yeah, exactly. Jordan Beard is Johnson's nephew. Jordan Beard is Jolie's cousin.
Jail officers said that she would regularly strip naked, spread feces on the window of her cell, and once had to be stopped with pepper spray. After going on hunger strike for fear people were going to poison her, her weight had dropped from 196 pounds to just 74 pounds. After declaring her mentally incompetent to go to trial, the judge later said Kimberly was capable of understanding the case against her. The sheriff said she was playing crazy and she was acting crazy. She always thought that she was the smartest person in the room and she knew exactly what she was doing. A psychiatric nurse said her behaviour was well thought out and clever, but just not quite enough for people in the know.
And first at 5 tonight, a high-profile murder suspect is competent to stand trial. That's according to doctors at a Florida hospital. The ruling comes just...
To the relief of those that knew Joleen, 3 months later, it was eventually determined that Kimberly would stand trial. And to no one's surprise, it would be far from smooth sailing. The now 53-year-old had refused to participate in any proceedings and frequently created disruptions in the court. She wouldn't even cooperate with her own lawyers anymore.
The public defender's office. I refuse it. I have refused it. I refuse the public defender's office. They appointed Jordan Beard, Joleen Cummings' cousin, as my public defender. They appointed Joleen Cummings' cousin as my public defender. What? You don't want the public to know that? You don't want them to know?
Later, she has been removed from the courtroom. She will be downstairs as she's been through the proceedings thus far.
But this was about justice for Joleen, and the judge would not tolerate this behaviour. Everything carried on, and Kimberly would spend most of the trial in a separate room, watching via a video link. The prosecution had a few theories about why this had all happened. One of which was that Joleen didn't trust who she thought was Jennifer. She was onto her and knew something was up. She had already challenged her by calling her fake, and it looked like Kimberly's years of running were starting to catch up with her, and she couldn't risk being exposed. Another theory was that Kimberly was also very jealous of Joleen, jealous of her life, jealous of how much her clients loved her, and she just wanted her gone. Her public defender said that yes, it was clear there had been a fight. He was not disputing that. But to get a first-degree murder conviction, there needed to be proof of premeditation, and he said that the state simply could not prove that, and there was still no body to prove a time of death or cause.
Stanford versus Kimberly Kessler, a.k.a. Jennifer Marie Steiber. Verdict count 1, first-degree murder. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment.
The jury found Kimberly Kessler guilty of first-degree murder and grand theft auto. She was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. Kimberly was transferred to another jail, much to the relief of the people who had been dealing with her.
She's evil. She's evil in the flesh. I want her behind out of our jail because we are fed up with her crap. It's the state's problem from now on. I don't for 1 second believe that Kimberly Kessler, or whatever name she's going by today, I don't believe this is her first murder. We're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate her homegoing. Because her new home for the rest of her life and until she takes her last breath. So I've been assured she'll be on the first bus tomorrow out of town, and when she leaves, we're going to have cake and ice cream.
If you could find it within your heart to tell us where the remains of my daughter. Where are the remains of my daughter? Give us some closure. I'm asking you from one mother to another.
Tonight marks 411 days since Joleen Cummings was last seen in Nassau County.
Jolene's remains have never been found, and sadly it seems unlikely that they ever will be. After being open 10 years, Tangle's hair salon closed its doors permanently after the company that held the lease refused to work with them anymore. But the owner and colleagues said that so much had happened that carrying on without Joleen felt too sad anyway. It would not be the same, it's too heartbreaking without Joleen at this point anyway, said the business via a statement on Facebook. Joleen's daughter now lives with her grandmother Anne, and Joleen's sons are with her ex-husband Jason. In a recorded interview, Jason said he fell in love with her because she was such a good mother to her daughter. She taught him how to be a great dad, and he makes sure their sons talk about her all the time. If you could say one more thing to Joleen, what would it be? The interviewer asked. I don't even think you'll have enough film in that camera, Jason smiled. Anne said, the world no longer feels as safe as it once did. When your child is murdered, grief is only the beginning. But she still feels her daughter, talking to her and guiding her. The children are surrounded by Joleen's pictures. While I know Joleen's soul is in heaven, I feel her spirit is here, watching over her children. Sometimes I hear her say, Mom, do this or do that. Kiss and hug the kids for me. It brings a smile to my face and tears to my eyes.